Hello and welcome to this edition of EMS Now Up Close. I am Eric Miskell with EMS Now. And today it's my distinct pleasure to be speaking with Maxim Anisimov, the Deputy Director of Development with VD Mais. VD Mais is an electronics company based in the Ukraine. They are an EMS company that also provides component and equipment sales. Maxim, where we're speaking to, is currently in Germany, where he'll be attending an industry event tomorrow, the EMS Day in Würzburg. So I've been able to get some time with him. So Maxim, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Listen, why don't we begin by allowing you to introduce yourself, your experience, and also your company, VD Mais, so people know more about you.
We are almost 29 years old Ukrainian company. We are involved in distribution and EMS business. We started as a distributor in 1993. It's, how shall I say, a typical requirement of Ukrainian market. I did not see that in other countries. There was a need for vertical integration for component sales, for contract manufacturing, for equipment sales. So we decided to combine this all together in a business model and develop I would say, rather special way of doing business.
Okay. And yourself, how long have you been with the company?
Since 2014, so almost 8 years.
Okay. And as Deputy Director of Development, I'm assuming that means business development, or is that also on the operational side?
It's mainly business development. It's once again, from geographical, political point of view, it is critical for Ukrainian businesses to expand internationally, and that's what I'm responsible for.
Okay. Well, you must have a challenging task these days, because obviously anybody who has been awake during the last many months knows of the horrible situation your country finds itself in after the invasion that occurred. So let me just ask you, I'd like to talk to you in kind of two areas. One, obviously hearing about current conditions and what's happening in the Ukraine, but then also talk about VD Mais and what's happening in the business development there. So if we begin with a general sense, you've recently left Ukraine to come to Germany for this event. How are things back in Ukraine these days? How would you characterize?
Just to note, I left Ukraine, but I'm returning there in a few days. So
yes.
It's not.
Yes. So
it's a return trip.
Yeah.
From how shall I say? From military perspective, we have, I would say, carefully optimistic signs. The information in news agency is limited regarding the possibility of counteroffensive, and I think there is a reason for that. We appreciate the international support we are getting from our friends from the USA and from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So overall,
mm-hmm.
It's still wartime. It's still terrible, but I would be carefully optimistic.
Okay.
With regards to business side, looks kind of stable now. I mean, the bottom is probably. I think it was second half of May when we hit the bottom, and now it's slowly restoring.
Okay.
Businesses are adjusting. I would say the common approach is to prepare for long term. Now it's more or less clear how things will develop, at least in middle term. So we prepare for long.
Okay. But you're obviously operating under restrictions because it's a war. I mean, your country's at war. So how is that under the martial law? I'm thinking just in terms of moving, logistics, getting parts in and out, making deliveries, all of that. How is that these days?
Well, practically the most challenging thing is absence of air freight and let's say normal ways to import the components. And it's not going to be changed unless peaceful time. So practically, that's the main challenge.
Okay.
And from business point of view, of course, it's some of customers are they have facilities in active combat areas, so they stopped operations. Some were moving from those areas. For example, Kharkiv region, they were moving to western part of Ukraine. It's obviously it affects the business.
Okay. And your suppliers and partners obviously are impacted as well. Do they have their own restrictions? Are they reluctant to be moving in and out of the area?
It really depends. Some suppliers, we do not understand their approach to Ukraine. What we hear very often is like, okay, we are restricting sales to 3 countries, Ukraine, Russia, Belarus. When we were asking why it is Ukraine, it's just, well, because you have war.
Yeah.
Which was disappointing from our side, and practically it means that we should rearrange our logistics through alternative channels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's an adjustment to the realities on the ground, I guess. So, and tell me about now, prior to the invasion, VD Mais, tell me about the business. So it's primarily, was most of it as the EMS side, and then, or was it more of it on the distribution side?
I would say 60 to 70% of total sales was connected to EMS business. We work for automotive projects, we work for energy, for healthcare projects, and yes, before the war, we had good expansion plans, which are now adjusted.
Okay. And all of the facilities are within the Ukraine?
Currently, yes. Currently, yes.
I mean, because you had referred to expansion plans, so I was wondering if prior to the war, were there potentially some plans to kind of expand outside?
In terms of sales, yes. In terms of production, well, basically, Ukraine is a good place for outsourcing. The labor cost is very attractive. From geographical point of view, it's not Southeast Asia. I mean, the time zone difference with European Union is negligible. Logistics generally is easier. You don't need sea freight. You don't need long time for moving the goods. We have good technical education background, which is also favorable for electronics development and production. So generally, that's the case.
And as far as the services provided within the EMS side, is that both explain the full suite? Is that the design, the PCBA, the testing, the order fulfillment? What was the breadth of services you provide?
We have limited design capabilities, though sometimes we are doing that. But mainly it is, the idea is to get the components and to get them assembled into a completed, tested piece of electronics.
Okay. So that you do the testing as well, then?
This depends on customer requirements, but yes, normally we develop some specific equipment to test a certain project, which of course makes sense if the volume is high enough.
Correct. And excuse me, do the are most of the clients, are they turnkey jobs, or are you doing consigned? Are you getting on a consigned basis where the parts are being provided by your OEM customers?
Normally we purchase components by ourselves.
Okay. So that's
there are some exceptions, but normally components are going through us. Okay.
And just out of curiosity, I mean, within your facility, I'm assuming there's SMT lines. Do you have 1, 2? How many lines do you currently operate?
6.
Oh, 6. Okay. All in one location?
Before the war, yes. After the war started, we had to adjust the business and we moved part of the equipment into a new, let's say, secret location in western part of Ukraine to mitigate the security risks.
Yeah. I'm assuming that also shortens the logistics lines with getting components in as well from the West.
At that time, it was the case, but generally, Ukraine has a very good private domestic postal operator. So now logistics within, let's say, the territories which are under Ukrainian control, it's very easy.
Okay. That's good to know. And I know that having over the last many months heard from some other Ukrainian companies, there was this sense of there was a concern about not being able to receive component parts, right? Components to do the assemblies. Has that gotten better over the last few months?
I would say that it's more related to component shortage, which still did not go. It's still the case.
So, do you mean in the sense of the overall component issues being that the industry all over the globe is facing, or are you meaning specific to within Ukraine?
My understanding is that it's general situation worldwide, but of course. The easiest way to deal with that is to plan beforehand, and planning during wartime is, let's say, more difficult.
I would imagine so. Tell me, how are your people? How are the employees? How is? I mean, that's obviously a major concern for management in these unprecedented times.
We have approximately 200 people. 12 of them are now serving in armed forces of Ukraine. Several people were under Russian occupation in Bucha direction, but they also good. Their families are good. So more or less, well, we ended happily.
Okay.
We are also lucky in the sense that one of our facility has a large underground space, which was used as bomb shelter in first days of war.
Oh, okay. And so obviously, I mean, employees' concern is has there been some difficulty as far as the work scheduling in terms of availability of people during, as you're saying, if there's bombings going on, people must not be always coming to work.
Basically, SMT lines were running on 24th and 25th February. So some of people were able to get the work, and it's, well, in the situation when everything was unclear, the easiest decision for some of people was just to keep calm and continue working. Okay. So as company management, we were doing with a lot of challenges, including, let's say, re-estimating the risks and reacting to situation that we had. But some projects were still running. Then we stopped for 5 days, I think, approximately. And in early March, we were able to turn on the equipment again.
Okay. And
so
yeah. No, please. I was going to.
Absence of the workers was not, let's say, the concern number one.
Okay, gotcha. How are as the deputy director of development and on the sales side there? How are your customers? How supportive have they been? Understanding have they been throughout the process? Are they, obviously having to put up with potential delays in fulfillment? How's their support been during these times?
I'm saying this very sincerely. We were deeply touched that 0 international customers have canceled their orders. All of them, we expected everything, but we did not expect such degree of loyalty. And we really appreciate that from customers' side. So they were patient. We got a lot of calls and emails on 24th of February. with words of support from our side. We appreciate that, but we were also working on, let's say, how to keep customers' business running. So overall, we got a lot of support from customers.
That's excellent. That's good to hear. And moving forward, what do you need from the industry?
Speaking globally, we already appreciate that Ukrainian EMS industry is a part of world industry, that we have an opportunity to speak, we have opportunities for networking and to be, let's say, the part of global team. It is also critically important that the orders from international customers will not stop in the future. We are really capable of producing electronics. Few years ago, we've done the strategic session and we have reestablished our company mission, which is now we want the world to have more electronics made in Europe. Ukraine is part of Europe geographically, not politically yet. The things hopefully will change eventually, but really want to be part of European industry to contribute to the development. And of course, we need orders for them, first of all. That's simple.
Yeah, exactly. But you need orders. Excuse me. But obviously, these are you're operating under unprecedented conditions there with that I don't think any EMS industry sector has ever faced that I'm aware of, where you're operating and producing during active wartime. So that's it's an interesting challenge that you face there. Are the suppliers generally, as you said before, getting more supportive, starting to provide the parts that you need, or what are your lead times? Are those extending out or shortening at these points?
From production point of view, they are stable and improving. From logistics and, let's say, from the point of view to get components, the situation is it was stabilized in middle summer, and we expect it to improve further. And speaking about, let's say, unprecedented challenges, I had some discussions with companies based in Israel. Even before, let's say, before this Russian invasion.
Yeah.
So I heard their experience. They were able to operate under such conditions.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Israel is a high-tech country, so they are able to survive somehow.
Yeah. No, they certainly have, haven't they? That's a very good example to cite there. But I did notice, I did look at your website, and I would encourage people to go look at that because it gives a good overview. In there, it's also stated that order deliveries will be done on a case-by-case basis. So that speaks again to your customers not canceling orders and being very flexible in their expectations of what and when they might receive it.
Basically, we should update that information. So we were able to manage this whole customers backlog, and now we also got some very fresh orders, which we really appreciate. I mean, from international customers who had all opportunities to do that with another supplier, but they supported us and
okay.
Worked with us.
So tomorrow you will be speaking to an industry audience there in Würzburg at the EMS Day. What message are you bringing to the industry?
I would say message is generally the same. We want to be contributing to European electronics industry. Please give us a possibility to do that, to bring our contribution.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the Ukraine has also benefited from a lot of people, not just governments providing support, but I know that VD Mais, as an example, has been doing contributions over there as well, and funding different things and providing support. So so it doesn't just have to happen at a corporate level; it can also happen at an individual level. People are able to provide support to within the Ukraine. Are there any specific ways that you would recommend that people who wish to do so do so?
Please just consider Ukraine as a really good location for outsourcing the production. We have technical capabilities, we have expertise, we have labor force, whatever is needed.
Mm-hmm. Good. And last question before, and I was just kind of curious, before obviously the war, the universities within the Ukraine were producing, technical people there. And I think that they were, if I remember correctly, that was considered as very good. What is please comment on that, kind of the quality of the talent within the Ukraine and how that has been impacted and continues today.
You mean after the wartime began? Well, I would say the IT industry, software development industry, is a good indicator because majority of graduates are going there. IT industry is much larger comparing to electronics. They are also restoring. On one side, there is a restriction for people to move outside Ukraine, at least for males, for permanently. So that might be the case. On the other hand, people just want to continue working like they did previously.
Yeah. I know. I think everybody would like a return to some normal life over there, right? And an end to the hostilities. So very good. Maxim, in closing, are there any messages you wish to convey before we end our interview? Is there anything else you would like to say to the interviewer and to our audience?
Once again, we appreciate the possibility to get the floor for speaking, and we want to be the part of the European electronics industry. Mm-hmm. That's the main message. It's really the most important thing I want to emphasize on.
Very good. No, well, message received, and we will do our best to kind of communicate that out in support of that. Maxim, I wish you success tomorrow in your presentation. I'm sure you will be well received. And I wish you safe travels back to the Ukraine, and hopefully things get better in your country soon, and business picks up.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very much. I appreciate you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.